Bear cubs and addiction, what do they have in common? You know, for me growing up, I used to love nature, and I still do. I love animals. And bears are one of my favorite animals to look at, to see, to experience. And what's amazing is a bear cub, when it's a brand new baby cub, it's cute and it's cuddly. And for most of us, if the mama bear wasn't around, we may be even tempted to want to pet it, get a photo with it, because bear cubs just seem so innocent and harmless. But it's a different story when the bear cub grows up and it's a full-grown, mature adult. And it would be a different story if you were walking in nature and you stumbled across this bear as a full-grown adult. It wouldn't be cute and it wouldn't be cuddly. It would be fearful and frightening and dangerous, because that bear would have the potential to destroy you and kill you. You know, addiction, it's the exact same way. For most of us, when we began to experiment around with drugs and alcohol, it seemed so innocent. It seemed harmless. Maybe our friends were doing it. Those around us were experimenting with it. And so we wanted to fit in, and we gave in to the peer pressure. For most of us, when we first began using drugs and alcohol, it's because we wanted to fit in. And we were curious, possibly, but for the most part, there was this pressure of wanting to fit in. And then for some of us who battled a lot of social and emotional issues, a lot of struggles at home and challenges as young men growing up and as young ladies growing up, we were already wearing a mask. And so we gave in to the peer pressure. And then when we began to get high, we began to realize that it was a coping mechanism. It was a way for us to escape our hurts, our pains, and our problems, and we could get faded. And we didn't have to deal with our stuff, and we could get faded, and we have to battle with our hurts and our pains. That addiction, it's just like the bear cub, though. When we began, it was a cute little cuddly bear cub. Without you knowing, though, that addiction will grow up and it becomes the mature adult bear, and it won't be cute and it won't be cuddly, and it will have one mission. It can kill you, it can destroy you, and it can ruin everything about your life. I promise you this, drugs and alcohol, when we first began, it seemed so innocent, it was cute and it was cuddly, but it will turn into a mature adult and it will destroy you and it can kill you. I've had to learn the hard way. Don't feed the bear. Because even though it seems so innocent when you first began, it won't be so cute and innocent when that addiction grows up. It can destroy you. I know. My own life fell apart. Drugs and alcohol consumed me. Drugs and alcohol destroyed my life. I battled with addiction, and I began to feed the bear. And I never would have thought in a million years, when I began to experiment around with drugs and alcohol, that it was going to consume and attempt to destroy and end my life. You know, no one wakes up one morning and says, hey, I want to be a drug addict. And nobody wakes up one morning and says, you know what, I want to overdose on drugs. And nobody wakes up one morning and says, you know what, I want to ruin and destroy everything about my future. But when you begin to feed the bear cub, that addiction, maybe it's because of peer pressure, or maybe it's because of how you want to cope and you want to self-medicate your hurts and your pains. I promise you, that cute little bear cub, it won't stay a cub. It'll grow up and it'll get to a place where it begins to destroy your life. If you're watching this, I promise you, feeding the bear, it's not as innocent as you think it is. And if you're at a place where you're feeling the pressures of maybe wanting to experiment around or turning to drugs and alcohol for peer pressure or for a way to cope and to deal with your hurts and your pains, don't do it, man. I promise you, it won't end up the way that you think it will end up. And if you're here and you're battling right now, you're in the middle of it like I was in the middle of it, with drugs and alcohol consuming us, there is hope. You're not alone. And just because you've been feeding the bear doesn't mean that you can't break the cycle. It doesn't mean that you can't break away. We were born to experience life, not just exist. If you're hurting, reach out and get help. We're losing too many of our friends and families We're putting too many people in graves, just like here. Don't feed the bear. There's better ways. I promise you. Love you guys.